Hello, everybody. Welcome. Rosa Psych Investigator. Hello, huh. Everybody, welcome. Rosa Psych Investigator. So let's do the protection. I like to ask for protection, a beautiful ray of light coming on top of my head. As I breathe in, I fill my lungs. As I breathe out, I create a circle. I create a circle. I step into it. I step into it. I feel protected. I feel connected. I like to ask that information come only from the highest sources, that it create the good and only the good, and so it is. Okay. So let's go to today's question. Not there's other questions for today, but this is the first video I'm making today, and it has to do with, oh, hold on a second. Oh, here it is. The NATO chief and Trump will discuss support for Ukraine. So Mark Rutte is coming. He's in town already to talk to Trump. First, he met with senators, and now he's in the White House, I believe. And just a recap, last week on Thursday, Trump had a call with Putin. The next day, Zelensky came to the White House. When Zelensky came to the White House, the whole story that he was supporting Ukraine changed, right? And he reverted back to using Russia's talking points. Here, Mark Rutte, the Secretary General of NATO, will discuss the alliance's support for Ukraine as well as the White House efforts to promote a ceasefire. Okay, we know that. And now, in a reversal, the White House said on Tuesday that Mr. Trump had no plans to meet with Mr. Putin in the immediate future after Russian officials made it clear that Moscow had no intention of making a deal to end the war. That's right. Here it says before their meeting, Trump. That's right, because they had talked about. I don't remember exactly where it came from, whether it was from Russians or Trump that said that they were thinking of meeting in Budapest, and that has been canceled since that was first discussed. Okay. And then, and this is that, and also Rutte met, it said here that met here, speaking to reporters on Wednesday today. After meeting with a bipartisan group of senators on Capitol Hill, Mr. Rutte said his visit should not be interpreted as a signal of concern and brushed off questions about the White House's reversal. He characterized Mr. Trump's meeting with Zelensky as successful and said he had initiated a plan to meet with Mr. Trump himself after the hostage release and ceasefire deal brokered in Gaza. So we know that Rutte does a really good job of speaking the Trump language, right? So let's see what's going on. Okay, what's going on in the White House? Okay, Trump looks disengaged. I see that he's like, but I have to say, guys, by the way, I started recording a video just now. I stopped because I accidentally pressed on the mute button. So I'm thinking I don't know exactly. It was just a little bit, a few minutes. So that's fine. I'm re-recording. But on that other video that I just stopped, I started talking about how Rutte knew that there's something about, I think, Trump's dementia in a way or another. I believe that his brain is starting to affect his decision making in the sense that he doesn't remember the things that were told or were discussed before. And I think the power of Putin is temporary. When he talks to Putin, Putin knows how to make him do certain things, and then he doesn't talk to Putin and he forgets it, and he becomes more malleable than before, I think. But at the same time, we know that everything happening in this administration, I think especially JD Vance and people connected to Peter Thiel, right? They are pro-Russia. So at the end, right, we know that whether or not whether or not he will say one day that he's pro-Russia or pro-Ukraine, we know that the administration is all about helping Russia's interests, and they follow Russia's views of the world. Okay, so having said that, let's see now what will be the outcome of this meeting. I see that he can talk to Trump and kind of make Trump see the situation as like always praising him and seeing how great he is, so that he's never seen as a threat by Trump. And I see that also he says, well, look, they're fooling you. They're saying one thing, they're doing another. Do you want to be fooled like that? Think about it. And then he wants, so he's telling him, do you know that Russia will not really leave Ukraine? We have to do something about it. We have to send forces to keep the peace. It's saying if they, it's something like I remember what happened in Lebanon and at some one of the there was a UNIFIL, I think it's called the UN's. It's not the same as UN, but it's something along those lines where they will have to send NATO troops to ensure that the boundaries are maintained because we can't trust them to do anything of that kind, right? We can't trust them to keep the peace. So one way to do this would be he's sort of floating things to Trump, just putting things in his head, and then he will come back later with more. So he's definitely telling him that nothing is going to happen. Don't meet with them. Don't give them that. And I see that in a weird way, he's also realistic about what he can ask for, right? But he's basically working to delay Putin's gains. And as you'll see, I'm going to show you, I did cards also about this. And what was interesting to me is that um, Rutte is actually concerned and worried, and he knows that who he's really fighting with is not Trump, but Putin, right? Because Trump is like a tool. He is, right? He could be manipulated. He doesn't have a position. He is not really pro-American, right? He's pro whoever pays him. So so that's a difficult situation for NATO and for Europe, right? Because they're not giving him a cash straight up like other countries are. So right, we understand this. And so that's right. So what he's really doing is sort of like putting things in Trump's head to counter Russia's talking points to Trump. Okay. And I see that actually for some reason I see Dmitry Peskov, the spokesperson of Russia, being very like uh anti Trump's like anti what they're talking about, being upset, being worried because oh, we just gave them talking points and now they're changing, they're doing this and that. So that's interesting. Now let's see. So also the next question, let's see what the outcome of this meeting is after. He's also trying to convince Trump to send the tomahawks, but I see that Trump knows that he sends the tomahawks, Putin is going to be mad at him. So what is that? I see that Trump crosses his arm, so it's a impasse as usual. But at least I feel like Rutte feels like at least he averted the extreme pro-Russia stance of Trump for now. Okay. Now I asked some other questions, and since I've been on the like one topic per video thing, I am gonna stop this one, just show you the cards because I don't want to make this video very long. The next video is going to be about Dutch intelligence not sharing information with the US. Okay, so let's go to the cards. So this isn't a horseshoe pattern. Okay, so the first one here we have Nine of Swords upside down, really worried, but trying to do something about his worry. Like, so he basically, this is about Mark Rutte's position, right, in the meeting, and then an invitation, a new beginning, right? So he wants to start over as a means to dissuade his own fears, right? And to bring something positive to Trump, to offer him something. Now, this set of 3 years about Trump's position, how he feels. What's interesting, he has a four of Pentacles upright, so that's holding on to money, not wanting to lose anything, and the focus really is on money here, actually. And here is changing. The 17 card is storks, means change, and this is the German card, a far away path. So he's changing his position, but as long as he keeps the money, which is interesting, right? He's focused, hyper focused on money. Okay, and as this is the hidden elements, again, money, Nine of Pentacles, resources, blocking the false person. So I wonder if it's about, you know how there's all this the conversation about Ukraine's resources and like taking their minerals, something like that. But the good thing here is blocking the false person. So there is a blocking of the interests of Putin, I believe. Okay. Then the near future here we have Four of Wands upside down. That's the White House upside down. So reverting the White House's position in some way. And then the ship, something foreign, foreign gift. So okay, so reverting, that's right. Something will change in a good way, I guess, right? Because considering where we're coming from, that Trump had said he was very um, not said he was pro, but he was basically repeating Russian talking points. Now, the outcome here is for Rutte, right? Is Eight of Pentacles, which is focus on something, success in a woman. Focused because this stuff comes out about a woman. So I wonder if it's, if it's Kamala, it could be. I just thought it was quite interesting that there's this woman here. I guess it could be Ursula, but if in the context of the Trump conversation, right? Let me ask here, see if I can ask visions about it. So is it about, it's like I'm focused on keeping the job, keeping my role until everything comes out. He's saying, okay, but I feel like he does not want to antagonize Trump at all. And as I'm talking to you, I wonder if there's like somebody, I don't know if I think it's sorry, I know it sounds very confusing. Somebody related to the Second World War, I think it was. Or was it, you know what for some reason I'm thinking of the woman from Joe, the TV show on MSNBC, Mika and Joe, her father was a foreign, like a State Department person. Brzezinski, I think he was his name. I think it's him, honestly, is here. And he's upset at NATO at Rutte. He thinks that, oh, the old appeasement thing, it's not good enough, he's saying. So what about what is going to happen? We're going to have to do something. Where is he? It's going to be tough, but we're going to do something. So could the information come out about the election? It could come out later. But I think he seems to suggest to me that in the end, it will have to be somebody on our side inside the country to do something. No, maybe probably the military, I think, because I don't think that he sees the situation as a repetition of the World War II, where you don't negotiate with the Nazis, right? You do something. He doesn't like us. He doesn't quite understand why we have to wait, right? Like, oh, it's just right. Like it's not going to work. It has never worked. And then and right, and that's it. Oh, I have to tell you also, I did pull out some cards, other cards with questions about NATO. Okay, so it's funny I had forgotten because that's right. It's saying so. Brzezinski, what do you have to? It's saying I think he's saying they're making a mistake, or this is a clear mistake. They should be do something more radical because it works for whatever reason. It's not where it doesn't work. That we will be stalled for all this time. And he's explaining to me that Rutte thinks that if NATO goes on in a true war against Russia, it could sort of like catapult into something much bigger. And Rutte thinks that if it can sort of keep Trump calm in a way, at least he will avoid a greater war. It, that this will avoid the war from spilling into Europe. Same, but in a way, he believes he kind of buys into the talking points of Russia, right? Because like I said, Turkey didn't have a problem. They came into the airspace, they shut him down, period. That was fine. But Rutte is like, right, he wants Europe to be ready for something bigger because if it happens too early, then we may not be prepared. So that's interesting. Okay, so all right, so okay, so interesting. So Brzezinski, that's right. He's nice and all, but it will be have to be us to do something in the end. Okay. Later, they will say after Trump, he may play a bigger role, but not until he goes. Okay, so now let's share. Let me see the other. Okay, so all right, so here we have. So can NATO do something to help remove Trump? So here, so this is just three columns. The one here on the left. Uh, Making it's sort of like a can't quite make plans. A little bit confused. Here we have now the organization. This could actually be NATO itself. And then five of cups, that's a bit covered here, is disappointment. So they're disappointed. Hauptperson, I think it's probably NATO, Rutte. And here again, they're having meetings about this. Then here we have the heart. Now that's values, could be values. Oh, you know what? Interesting. It could be. It's funny when I first saw the cards, I didn't think about it. But the heart card can mean values, it can mean sex, and it can mean love, but not doesn't make sense. It's not like I've learned from experience actually this part of the sex when I was doing the reading is actually related to Trump in the past. So now that I think about it, because you have the Ten of Cups upside down here, and that's family values, right? It could be interpreted as that. It's also the country coming together, and we have the young women, because this is a card of somebody who lacks experience. I thought at first when I first saw it, I thought, oh, it's about not them not having experience. But then I feel like they feel like there's something about the information from Epstein that will affect and cause an ending here, an ending to the administration. It could happen because it's from that perspective could be deadly. Now, Hauptperson, it's a female main character. I do think again it could be women. It could also be Kamala because then we have here the next. The next is recognition out here. Institution set like under realizes that there's this all this could be the compromise, all of it. But again, the question is, can NATO do something to help remove Trump? But I feel like the answer is no. It's like they're do. I guess it shows us what they're doing. Now here you have the military and private. So they're having private meetings. They recognize that it looks like the thing will come out, right? And here trying to assert themselves, but not succeeding. And then they're ultimately are happy about the outcome. But I feel like this could be the recognition also of what happened in the election. Does it make sense? I'm sorry. I hope I'm not don't sound too confusing, but I feel like ultimately the answer is no. They're having meetings, they're aware, they're prepared, but they can't come into the US and do something about it here. Okay. So that's it. Now there is another question that I asked. So let's get here. I had open. Okay, here it does have NATO. Okay, does NATO have information about the election? Okay, so here is does NATO have uh, information regarding stolen election? We have now Seven of Pentacles harvest could well be votes. Here is this is interesting. Book, it means a secret, it means information, right? It also means like a ledger of some sort. And what's interesting, this card is hope. It's also a card that's associated with fantasy. So it could be that the harvested information ledger is false or is fantasized. And remember how during the election, that Polymarket's website had the exact number that matched the outcome. And it was just what an incredible coincidence, right? So this was imagined before, right? It was designed. It's fictional, in other words. Here we have the magician upside down manipulation. Now, the bear means could be personal finances, could be the mother, could mean the powerful person, but it could also mean I think we could start saying that it could be Russia too in this context, right? Here is the judge or the agreement or disagreement, right? So manipulated, there's disputes as to whether this was correct, right? And here we have King of Cups upside down, like a madman, older man, a deal. So they, in other words, they know that the numbers were fake, right? They dispute the truth about what was published, and they um, they have evidence of some kind of deal here. Okay, I think shady deal in the sense, right? That was a coordinated effort. So now let me actually do the visions about this because it's kind of a big deal. So does NATO have? Let's see here again. Can NATO, okay, can NATO do something? Ask straight up. So can NATO do something to help Trump? Can NATO do something to help remove Trump? To help remove? No, they're observing, they have the information, they're observing as if they're in a control room, but do something very specific, like send somebody in or something. No, they can support with information and saying they may have shared information with the US military. Yes, yes, yes. And then but I can't do something. Okay. So that's the answer. Does the US, it seems that they have shared information with the US military, knows with the US military, and the US military knows about this, but it's saying secret. All right. So the next question that I had asked about it was, does NATO have information regarding this stolen election? That's right. They have what you discussed. There's again the data and the information. They have the numbers. They have the cloud. They have information, I feel like. Okay. I don't know how precise or how exact it is, but they have shared with their partners. But still, guys, I always ask this question. I don't understand why nothing was done. It was too dangerous. It's saying they still get that it would have been too dangerous. Okay. All right. So now let's go to let's see. That's it for now, right? That's it, because I have another topic that I'm going to discuss on the next video. It relates to this, but again, I don't want to make it a long video. All right, so thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.